Alright, so I got a new webcam today. It's pretty damn cool actually. It'll follow me around. Like if I go over here to my synthesizer, it follows me. Get down low so you can see the synth right there. Just a very cool thing to have. I wish I had my cameras to follow me around when I was doing my regular videos because it's cool as hell. Maybe I'll start implementing this webcam into it. I watched a cool video today. It was some other dude's channel, but he was talking to Rick Beato, and it was just a cool video, man. Like they're talking about music and where it has been and where it's going, and you know, like the whole mess of it, but really we're in a great time. AI is scary, I suppose, but people are always gonna seek creativity, you know, from humans, and I feel really blessed to be able to make music right now, you know, because when I was a kid, when I was learning to play this and those, you couldn't do it. It just didn't work. So you couldn't have a studio because it was just out of everybody's price range. You couldn't have a tape machine in your house. You know, and we're really lucky to be able to do this. I've put out about an album's worth of songs in the past year. I've finally got my engineering to a point where things sound like records. I like doing this YouTube thing. I do it unscripted on these live streams. I do it pretty much unscripted on my videos. I have an idea and I just roll with it. So I'm new, you know, to streaming. Last night was my first stream. I was really unhappy with my webcam, so I got this new cool webcam. Let's look at what this webcam is. It just came today. You can see it following me around. It's rad, man. It's the Osbot Tiny 2. It's a little bitty thing, but it gets a great picture. Only thing I'm using here, I've got it dark in here except for my key light and my little strand lights back there. You know, just trying to give some vibe to, you know, the live stream. It can't be looking shitty. But this thing I watched today with Rick Beato, you know, he was talking about the way music is going and all of these, how Spotify is and how he thinks they're testing the waters to see if people will accept AI music from this band called the Velvet Sundown. And he doesn't know for sure, but he's pretty positive it's AI. And are people going to accept it? And I think there's some people that will, you know, but for people like me, being an artist and being creative is paramount. You know, everything else I do is all about being able to be a musician when I get home from work and a dad when I get home from work. And that's what it's about. And people, you know, music, I think, is a different thing for people, for kids especially nowadays. You know, it's something that's playing in the background, whereas for us, it was like at the forefront. Anything we did, music was a part. You know, it was a very important part. You know, I come from a time when, you know, like my dad, he has Macintosh amps, clipped horn speakers, very important. I grew up on great sound. That's why I think I wanted to play music. And, you know, even me, I don't have a great system. I have a studio in my house, but my son, I used to fall asleep listening to music. My son doesn't really have that experience. He might fall asleep listening to me and him recording, but so what I'm going through on the guitar is going into the Jim's 45 digital. I've got real amps here. I play real amps. I record with real amps. But for this streaming right now, at least, starting off slow, I want to, so stuff isn't bleeding into this condenser mic that I'm using. I'm one of the few YouTubers that uses a condenser mic, but I like the way it sounds. But creates a problem with, sometimes you have to gate it if you have a real reflective room. Actually, these panels up here, the walls aren't drywall. It's wood paneling. So it's a really good room to track drums in. They sound killer in here. And the reflections aren't too bad. I've got some minimal just foam on the walls, and it works. It cuts the high end down a little bit, just enough to make it sound good. And every time, I don't gate anything when I record my drums. Very rarely, do I gate something. If I'm looking for a real like gated snare drum sound, I'll do it. But the echo, the slight ambience that I have in here sounds great. So it's the Gems 45, and I'm going 10 pedal into a Warm Audio Centavo into the Gems 45, and I've got just a carbon copy delay on. I was going back and forth between that and my timeline with a longer delay, but I just like this slap, so. I've got a lot of pedals here we can listen to. Like this is the let me kick on my Drybell Vibe machine. I love Univibe. Is there anybody in the chat? Anybody watching? I don't play much. Like, I learned all the cover stuff when I was young, learning to play, and now really all I play is music that I'm writing. I very rarely play other people's music. I love to listen, but so this is really like a test to check out this webcam. I'm still dialing in all of my streaming settings, trying to get all that right, and it's like, I love doing this shit. I love making music. The streaming thing's new because, like I said, I'm unscripted. I might have to, come up with more things before I start to stream, but it seems like when you get me on the subject of music, there's plenty to talk about. Another thing is the gear that I'm going through to record. I struggled with for a long time just going interface into the computer, and when I added some outboard mic preamps to that, things got a lot better, a lot easier, a lot quicker, and then it taught me how to use plugins better as well, because the sound that I hear in my head is the sound of records, classic records, from the 60s, 70s, 80s. They were going through things like Neves, Abbey Road stuff, API, consoles like this, later on SSLs. And a lot of people do the Neve tracking, SSL mixing thing. I'm doing something similar. I mix mostly in the box, but I am hybrid because I come out of the computer and go through transformers in my mic preamps, which I run every mix through the Chandler TG2. It hits like a tape plug-in, usually the U8 Ampex tape plug-in, then hits my Chandler TG2 mic preamps, so running left and right stereo through those, and then back into the computer for the limiting and clipping a little bit. But the plugin I use most of the time for that is the Brainworks Master Desk Pro. It gives you a LUFS meter so you can, get it in the range you want. Usually I'll be not at 0, but like minus 0.3, and then the LUFS will be hitting anywhere from minus 10 to minus 7. But for the streaming, I was doing everything through the DAW at first, but you get latency that way if you're running plugins. So a feature of these Chandler TG2 mic preamps, because if you watch studio channels, right, a lot of times they're going through 2 systems to do live streaming, and usually there'll be a console or a mixer involved. I watch this guy who does a lot of streaming. He's got a cool channel. He did like Atlanta hip hop. His name's on the tip of my tongue, but anyway, he does these long live streams. Like he had Rehab in the studio and just turned on the streaming, while they were tracking this record very recently. And he runs 2 systems. He goes through a console, takes the DAW out of his console, takes the computer, goes out into the console, and then takes that mix, both digital and what he's doing in his console. Then he feeds another computer for the streaming. Well, I'm not doing all that. I have one computer, but I do have something that makes it similar. Once again, it's those Chandler TG2 mic preamps. They're one of the few mic preamps that will allow you to sum. So I can take this microphone, the chain is this United Studio 87, going into Audioscape 76D compressor, and then into a Neve 1073, actually a BAE 1073 mic preamp for the microphone. So that's all going into one side. So really that channel is hitting 2 mic preamps, the BAE, and then going into one side of the Chandler, just so I can sum. And then the guitar is going into the other side of the Chandler. I can switch it from DI to my amplifier, like I have a 57 and a Royer on over there. I can use one of those mics because the other channel is this microphone. So it's kind of a complicated setup, but not really. But hardware does things like that for you, like, because you can only run into 2 channels of the interface if you're going to be streaming. So I'm talking to myself, I think, but it's just it's how it's, if you're thinking about streaming, you have to work all this shit out. And it's I didn't even consider really streaming for a long time, and I probably waited too long, because when I was getting 15,000 views on some videos, I should have started throwing up live streams in, but I didn't have everything worked out. And it's just a different way to work than digital. Digital is great, most everything I do mixing is digital. There's things like Pro Q4, such an awesome thing, you know what I mean? You can see all the frequencies in your mix. You can do things that people never could do, isolate frequencies, things like this. And it's really great if you're learning, or if you've been doing this a while. You can really take advantage of those things. But like Beato was saying today, there's a bit of sterilization that comes with that, because everybody's using the same shit. So I feel like with the hardware, having some hardware in the mix gives it a little bit of you can put your own flavor on it. Like this BAE 1073 and the Chandler TG2s, they're a very similar sound, but there are differences there. And it's those little things that, when you're using them, every track I do goes through one of the other of those, and then sometimes, usually the buses will go back out. So sometimes I'm hitting these transformers 3 or 4 times on every track, and those will add up, every instrument bussing it down, and they'll add up. And so you get a lot of character that way. And people, until you have hardware, you don't realize you're missing that. But let's play something. I think I've got my phone around here somewhere. I heard it beeping. I was gonna see what I can see about YouTube if anything's going on. It's not showing up on my chat here if there is at all. But maybe there is. I don't know. Hang on a minute. You're not supposed to walk off your own live stream, I know, but I want to find my phone real quick. We're not in no hurry. Take it easy, man. You know? Alright. Let's see if this thing's really live. I can't tell. Last night when I did the stream, I couldn't see anything till after I was done streaming, and it's like I thought all these chats were supposed to show up like either in the computer or yeah, and it's not showing up. So I don't know if it's really live or not. I just don't know. Maybe. It's rock and roll, right? So let's listen to some different modulation. Turn off the Vibe Machine. Turn on the Boss CE2W chorus. This is a great pedal for bass, too. I always liked the chorus bass, but then a lot of times I end up not using it. It's like, it's too much. Sometimes you just want that bass to be in the middle, but when you do use it on bass, it's great. You know, it's something that you don't want to use all the time on bass. I love modulating. So I'm always trying, I know it's not seeming like it here, but I'm always trying to think in terms of ideas for songs. So like chord progressions. and I'll like switch up the rhythms. I don't want it to just be, change on the one and So, the Nashville people, man, they're amazing what they do, but like those guys that play, they're sidemen, they're studio players. I couldn't do that. I play a lot. I play great sometimes, other times I struggle. It just depends. You gotta have a good tone dialed up. It means so much. But no matter if I played like Eddie Van Halen all the time, I couldn't do that thing where I just played for other people on other people's records all the time. I could, you make a great living at it, but it wouldn't satisfy any of the creative side of me. I like to do my own thing. I like to write my own shit, and that's what I'm doing in here. I've got a track. We could pull it up. Maybe we'll do that. We'll go through some tracks, look at how the music production works, and listen to things that I've got cooking, things that are going to turn into songs, because that's what I do. The songs sound great. Go check out Thirsty Deer on all the streaming services, whatever you use. Apple Music, Spotify, YouTube Music, Deezer, iHeartRadio. It's on all of them. And go check out Thirsty Deer. This channel's Thirsty Deer Studio. Go listen to Thirsty Deer and pull up any of my songs. There's 10 or so on there. And you can hear what I'm talking about. You know what I mean? It's not the modern pop thing for damn sure, but it rocks. I like it. I wouldn't put it out if I didn't like it. So I don't know. I got to figure out where I can monitor the chat and tell if I'm really streaming. Usually when I stop the stream, then I can tell. I don't know if that's because nobody's really interacting or what's going on. But it's like a latency thing where I can't tell I'm streaming till after I've stopped. So I need to work that out. But anyway, I want to just, when I started my YouTube channel, it was like a struggle. I thought I wasn't getting things out there the way I wanted them to look or sound. And then eventually it just got to the point where it was what I was wanting, how I was wanting it to look and sound, and I got it there. And that's what I got to do with this. I just got to keep doing it, you know what I mean? And then it, the feel will get right where I'm saying what I want to say, playing how I want to play. I don't have all this other shit going on where I'm trying to watch and see what's really going on with the stream. It doesn't really matter anyway. It's just what I'm doing here. I'm gonna do this again real soon. Try and get some people fucking watching. Try and get it to where I can tell what's going on. And we'll be back and do it again. You know, keep doing it. You know, people quit because people don't watch or whatever. Well, it's not about other fucking people. It's about what we do. Do you get off on what you do? That's really the fucking question. You know, and I definitely do. And you know, anytime you step into something new, there's some kinks to work out, and you just hang in there and do it, right? That's my thoughts on the topic. So we're gonna keep doing it. Y'all have a good night. Let's see if the stream